What's up, guys? Thunder Chicken here. Had a little bonehead issue happen last night, and now we gotta pull out a dent. I tried with some wooden dowels and a small hot glue gun, and that didn't work. Well, anyway, went out and got a actual dent puller kit. By the way, this video is not sponsored by anyone. I'm not receiving any money for this. I am not receiving any kind of monetary compensation or anything like that. So this is all for educational purposes, and maybe, with your luck, possibly some entertainment. So the kit comes with a crossbar that's adjustable. It has some screws here that can move in and out, so it's for a decent sized dent. Now you can adjust it to wherever you need. Now it says in the instructions to make sure that you center the pull tab. And this is one of the pull tabs. There's 3 of them that comes with the kit, an elongated one and a couple of these round ones. Glue onto the dent. And it says to glue this pull tab as close to the center of the dent as possible, and then add the crossbar on there, and then take a little screw head and screw it down until the dent pops out. Hopefully this works. This is take 2, by the way. Now, first thing it says, make sure that you heat up the hot glue gun with the glue in there for 10 to 15 minutes. So hopefully that it's been heated up long enough. It should be. Now, the kit comes with two glue sticks. I hope I have enough. Now, it says to apply the glue to the pull tab first, then put it onto the dent in the center of the dent, the desired area. So here we go. Looks like it's coming out a lot better than the last time. Uh-oh. Oh, it's very hot. That looks like it should be about where we need it. Preferred without all the extra goop kind of dripping down. It says not to pull on it, so or push on it. So you don't want to make any worse of a dent than you already have. This is I think, a steel panel. I'm not sure. Maybe aluminum. Who knows? It says make sure do not put it on cracked paint. There's cracked paint here, but it's not right there by the dent. It's off to the side. So that's what I'm actually trying to get rid of. At least minimize, so that way the least amount of water would get in there and it'd take longer to rust. So hopefully that'll be the accomplished deal afterwards. So now it says after you got the pull tab on there, put this on there. It's not that hot. Move that out of the way. Okay. Now I'll put this crossbar in the most theoretically sound spot to square it off, and we'll start twisting this nut piece on, and I'm only going to tighten up a little bit. Now I want to let the glue sit a little bit longer, so let it completely dry, because the last time the pull tab came off and the glue was still stuck on the fender. Didn't do nothing. Hopefully it'll do it this time. So now while we're at it, when you're going to clean the clean the surface that you're gonna stick the tab on, you want to use something like acetone or something like that. I didn't really have any acetone, so what I used was some brake cleaner. Worked pretty good in getting the excess glue off there from the last couple times. And after you're done cleaning up the majority of stuff with the majority of the surface with the brake cleaner or acetone, whatever you got that's a releasing agent. I use a little bit of Windex to make sure, Windex or window cleaner, to wipe up the excess film from the brake cleaner. So you want to make sure that surface is very clean before you go to pull out the dent, because otherwise the glue won't stick to the fender like it's supposed to, with the metal surface. So hopefully it still feels like it's a little tacky, might be a little bit wet still. Maybe put a little bit of pressure on there. It looks like it might actually stay on there this time. And hopefully we'll be able to pull this dent out in no time. I'm going to do about quarter or so turn at a time. Boy, oh boy, I hope I can pull this dent out. If not, then I guess we'll have to go to the professionals. I think it looks like it's pulling it out.
It's working.
Yay, it's working. Now I got one other spot, it looks like. I'll pull this part here by the body line for the fender, right? You see the body line? I want to pull that part out first to eliminate that section. I'm going to have to take something later on and bend this little lip back in like it's supposed to be. Now, after I get this part pulled out like it's supposed to be, it says pull out to desired height. Well, it's almost there. All right, I'm going to back it off and see if that did anything. Because, you know, with metal, when you bend, you want to try and bend to a corner. You want to over bend it a little bit because it's going to spring back. Same situation as this. You're trying to bend it back out. It's going to spring back in. So what we want to do is test it, make sure that you don't overdo it. And we're going to twist it back out a little bit more. It sounds like it's trying to release. Oh, it popped out a little bit. It looked like it did pretty good. Now I'll have to move it over a little bit. Now here comes the fun part. The part you guys didn't see the last time. So, this glue is pretty strong against the fender, so trying to pull it off, you're only going to get a little bit if it's hanging. So what they say is put a releasing agent on or around, a couple drops, so you only want to put a little bit. So like really control your finger when you're spraying that. So you want to let that soak in a little bit. Now what I found helped a lot when doing this, I know it's a hair dryer, but it's heat. Heat gun works pretty well. You don't want it too hot though. You want to be careful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up the surface. I'm going to heat up the surface right around the glue to help it release from the surface. We'll take a little paper towels, and you can use a towel or whatever. I really don't want to waste a towel. Some paper towels work just fine. Basically, the hair dryer is going to soften up the glue, and it's going to heat up the back of the metal on the panel. So it's going to transfer the heat through and should release the glue. You might want to spray a little bit more. When doing this, make sure you use all safety precautions that you can possibly use. I'm not the most safe. So you want your goggles and you want your gloves. You don't really want to touch this brake cleaner or acetone with your bare fingers at all. It's not good. Coming. So when we get this cleaned up, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to move it over about an inch, inch and a half further into the dent. And this looks like it wasn't quite the center of the dent. That's what it was acting like. So you can see there's still a lot of glue on there. Try to get as much off of there without pressing really hard. You don't want to make the dent worse. I'm going to turn this off. Alright, so like I said, just a little bit on there. Coat it. Take some paper towel and kind of massage it out. The brake cleaner will break it down. It's all petroleum products, so that way you can get out of there. Really hard to see. Okay, so I got most of the glue off. It looks like I just about got all of it off. But there's still a film, like I was saying, from the brake cleaner. Now, we want to take a clean cloth, clean paper towel, whatever, it doesn't matter. And instead of spraying the panel itself, because like you can see, there's still a crack there, I don't want to get any moisture into the crack if possible. So I'm going to take the glass cleaner, spray it onto the paper towel, and just clean the surface within about an inch, 3/4 of an inch from the cracked paint. Now Windex dries pretty fast, as most people already know, and is great for cleaning surfaces. When you hear that squeak, that's when you know it's clean. I'm starting to hear a little bit of squeak. Okay, that area is not really that big of a deal. I want it right on the crack, or the fold. Okay, so toss all that stuff off to the side. All right. Now, I think it did fairly well, so I think we can probably do this again with this one. And pull it out a little bit, not a whole lot. But now, we're getting close to the end of this glue stick. Where's my other glue stick? Right there. So I want to stick it right about here. So it's about approximately an inch to an inch and a half away from where I first started. So it's closer towards the center of the bulk of the flat panel. Okay, so you got your body line and you got your flat part of the panel. So I'm gonna stick a bunch of this back on there. Mind you, be very, very careful when doing this. It's very hot. Okay, so like you can see, it's all nice and coated, and I'm just barely putting any pressure on there, just so I can straighten out the stud, the puller adapter. So now while that's cooling off, kind of looks like spider webs. So back to the next step, crossbar. You want to try and flatten these out against the other parts as best as possible. So I just want to barely snug that up on there because it still has to dry. All right. All right. Yeah, it's still really tacky. So as you could see before, it was pulling it out quite well. So it looked like I wasn't quite in the right spot. It's okay, because with this stuff, you can always try again. But as it warned, make sure you keep this glue off of the paint, because it will peel the paint right off. And we all know what's going to happen next. Rust City. Still kind of tacky. I want to leave it to where it's nice and dry and it won't stick to my finger anymore. Because when it's sticking to your finger, it means it's still hot or still warm enough to where it's not going to stay on there. I want it to be able to stay on there. I'd say it probably takes about maybe a minute and a half for it to cool off enough. You can be on a safe side and give it like 2 or 3 minutes and you should be good. Try to straighten this out a little bit. Okay, my fingers are not sticking to it anymore. I think I might want to leave that for a little bit longer. Clean up my area. Now, precaution, make sure you pay attention to where you're putting the glue gun, because the tip is very hot. You don't want to bump into it. You don't want it to lay into anything that might catch on fire or melt. We don't want the fire department called like last week. Alright, I think this is dry enough. Now let's slowly start pulling it out. It looks like it's trying to work. Now I coated it around the outside, the front side of the puller now, this time. So if it pulls it out, it's going to pull it away from the fender itself. Probably should have got 2 of these so that way I can set them right next to each other. Oh yeah. Alright, so it looks like I got majority of that out. Now, I'm not worried about a high spot. It warns you about high spot. Woo! That's what we wanted. It's out there a lot further. Still not quite finished. But I'm not worried about high spots because, you know, a high spot I can always take something soft and put it against it and just tap it down. That's not a big deal. So I'm going to continue with this, and hopefully I'll get majority, if not all of it. That would be preferred, and see what happens and what it looks like afterwards. So until then, till the next episode, please like and subscribe to Thunder Chicken. Good evening.